We have felt that, and I'm sure in your field of work as well.
Absolutely.
It's probably no different from mine in terms of how important it is as women and as women of color who have to just fight a little bit harder for our voices to be heard.
The following podcast is a Healthy Dog production. Welcome to the Healthy Dog Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Nigma Talib. I'm a leading naturopathic doctor now for over 20 years, and I've consulted thousands of patients with chronic illnesses. I've had clinics all over the world, and I have a #1 bestseller, Younger Skin Starts in the Gut. Listen, I know there's a lot of health information out there in the health and wellness world, and it can be a bit overwhelming. So I'm here to set the record straight and give you my expertise along with my expert guests here in studio in sunny Los Angeles.
I only take drugs with other people who take them on a regular basis because I don't have time for that.
A lot of chronic diseases stem from mitochondrial dysfunction.
Yes. And you know what I love talking about, right? Poop.
Yes. You can ask me about my poop?
Yeah, I'm going to talk about poop.
Okay, please.
This podcast is your go-to for achieving optimal wellness from the best of beauty and longevity and everything in between, because after all, wellness comes from the inside out. Welcome back to the Healthy Dog Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Nigma Talib. You've seen her in Slumdog Millionaire, Trishna, Rise of the Planet of the Apes, Desert Dancer, and Mr. Malcolm's List, and she runs her own production company, Freebird Films. She's a passionate advocate for girls' education through her work with Girl Rising. But today's conversation is special for a whole other reason. She's one of my closest friends, like a younger sister to me. She's flown in from Austin to spend some proper sister time. And to give you some context, we're both sitting here in my home in Los Angeles having this chat. I'm so grateful she's here, and I'm so excited to share this moment with you. Please welcome my good friend, Freida Pinto.
Oh, Nigma. I can't call you Dr. Nigma because you're like my sister. You're like my older sister. You're my Nigma. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me in your home, on your podcast that I have so loved watching all of the other episodes. And so it's been so informative, especially for a woman in her 40s. You know, you've been interviewing a great range of women as well, from all walks of life. So thank you so much.
I was so excited when you emailed me and you're like, you texted me and then your assistant followed up with my assistant and you were like, guess what? I'm coming to LA. Let's do the podcast. So I was so excited to have you on today. And I think that a lot of people are going to really enjoy this podcast because there's a lot of questions around health, wellness. And, you know, I know you're a good friend of mine and you're not a doctor, you're an actress, but I have to say your knowledge of supplements and wellness and eating, and I dare to be ashamed to say that I actually learn a lot from you too.
Oh, and I learn from you. I think it's a give and take. Your expertise and your knowledge of how these various modalities even work together is just so, you know, it's just like it's valuable to me in my life, and I have incorporated so much of that from your book to your, you know, the firsthand knowledge that you give me, to the way I eat, all of it. You know, the way I look at life as well. You play such a big role in it, big sister. You really do.
Always, my darling, always. I just wish, I'm so sad you moved to Austin, but I know you're happier there. How has life been in Austin? I mean, I know the answer to this, but I'd love to, because a lot of people don't know you actually moved out of LA.
Yes. I mean, listen, we have a community here in LA still, and so we miss them. And both Corey and I, my husband Corey, and I come back every now and then. It's the trips are fewer than they ever were before. Like, they've really reduced. That's because Austin is completely home now. It is completely home. It's a smaller city, smaller town, with the vibrations for me is just not as intense as Los Angeles or London or Bombay or New York. It provides a lot of outdoorsy time for my son, for Corey, obviously. And I have just recently discovered, I would say like the last 3 years, is that I don't want to be in a place where I'm constantly feeling anxious. And there is something about, listen, I love Los Angeles. I lived here for 17 years. But there's something about the energy of Los Angeles that is very go, go, go for me. And it was just not for me after a while. But then when I do come back and I spend a couple of days and the weather is unbeatable, we cannot compare this beautiful weather in Los Angeles to the heat that we have in Austin. When I come back, I appreciate it even more. I'm not complaining like I used to.
Yeah. You know who else doesn't want to leave Austin? Rumi.
Yeah, he doesn't want to leave Austin.
We just did a FaceTime with Rumi before this podcast for those listening. And I showed him the pool. I showed him Dante. He wasn't buying it. He's like, nope.
Yeah, he said, I'm never leaving Austin.
I know. So he wins.
He wins.
You've played a lot of roles, from fierce to, I know we talked about some of your roles that you played several years ago, from like fierce to fragile. Is there anything in these roles that actually broke you open? Was there any particular role that you did that just was like, wow?
Yeah. One role broke me and one broke me open. Let me put it that way.
Okay.
Playing the fragility and the vulnerability of Trishna was really hard for me because as much as and it was not even vulnerability, I think it was more the submissiveness of the character. It really broke me. It was, the retelling of Tess of the D'Urbervilles, which is a Thomas Hardy novel. And Tess in the novel is, she's fierce, but she has, for whoever's read the novel, there is a certain submissiveness to that character as well, and the men that she's in love with. And I found that really hard because I found my instinct wanting to always be strong and confident. And I was like, no, I'm sorry. I don't want to just like say okay to everything, and I said, okay, sir, a lot in the movie. And that was really hard for me because when I was done with it, I just felt very rebellious almost. I wanted to go out there and be, angry. I was like really angry after I finished that film, and I realized it was the complete surrender to the demands of that role that made me feel that way. And so in my career since then, I was like, I want to do roles that have vulnerability, but I don't know if I want to go that deep into feeling so submissive, And I think the reason for that is also the world. Right. And what we feel day in and day out, and our awareness just growing. And there's a part of me that does not even want to pretend play that anymore. And I'm not apologetic about it. The role that broke me open was playing Jazz Mitra in Gorilla, which was a 6-part miniseries for Showtime and Sky Atlantic. She was a character that was standing up for what she believed in a man's world, in a group that was dominated by men. And she was radically different from all of them and had the loudest voice and was looked down upon because of her loudest voice. Now, do we know that experience?
It's kind of happening right now.
We feel that, we have felt that, and I'm sure in your field of work as well.
Absolutely.
Which is probably no different from mine in terms of how important it is as women and as women of color who have to just fight a little bit harder for our voices to be heard. So it was a character that felt like the right time, the right place for me to be part of it. And I had the most wonderful director, showrunner in John Ridley, who recognized this angst in me of wanting to go out there and show it. Like I was even in the TV show, I was always talked about as being delicate and beautiful, and she just hated it. She was like, I am more than that. Can you see me for more than that? And I think it's an experience that I have personally gone through, and I personally go through, I should say, sometimes.
Of course.
Still, no matter how much I prove myself, it's just people just want to see you as an object. And so, yeah, it was a very relatable, and I felt completely liberated when I finished that show. I was full of energy and wanted to do more of that.
You are that in real life. I mean, you're an advocate for young girls. You're an activist. You know, you stand up for what you believe in. And Can you share a little bit about that?
I think, and I say this every time I say this, I think I grew up not knowing how to not speak up for myself. I don't know anything else. I just know how to speak up for myself. And my parents encouraged that from the time I was very little. My grandfather, in fact, said to me, always ask why. Even if you feel like it's irritating your grown-ups and you're curious, stay curious and ask why. And don't be okay or settle for an answer that doesn't feel like an answer enough. And if someone's not willing to give you the answer, don't be scared to go looking for it, especially if that is something that you feel will enrich your life. And so because of that upbringing, I didn't know anything else. But the reality of the situation is I grew up in India, where we have all classes of society, all backgrounds in terms of what their family values might be or what they've been culturally told, what is okay and what is not okay. And there is a lot of disparity. There are more women than not who are told that they have a place in society and it's not to be on the same level as men or the same level as other women. And that just felt so wrong. So I shared this experience as one of the key moments in my life that changed the way I looked at what I wanted to do with advocacy work in general. My mom was a school teacher, ended up being the headmistress of a school. I never studied at her school because my mom didn't want troublemaker at her own school. So I was sent to a different school.
You got kicked out of your
So I was like, you go, you are not going to be.
Hilarious.
Yeah. So my mom was like, she refused. She's like, no, my children are not going to study in the same school that I'm a teacher at. But over the weekends, when my mom had to go to school for any kind of projects or whatever, she'd take me along with her. Mm-hmm. And I remember this very clearly. I grew up in the suburbs of Mumbai in Malad. And on my rickshaw drive from home to my mom's school, there was this young girl who was probably a year younger than me or 2 years younger than me who came asking for money. And, we say literally like begging for whatever she could get from us. And I looked at her and I looked at my mom and I said, I've been studying in school that education is every child's birthright.
Right.
What happened to her? Like, why? What's the difference? Like, where's her school?
How old were you?
I was probably around 12, and I was like, what happened to her? And where's her school? Does she go to school? And my mom was quite dumbfounded because she was like, I don't know this girl personally. I don't know how to answer this question.
Right.
And the girl just went away. And my mom looked at me and she goes, yeah, I know you're thinking this is not fair. I'm like, yeah, it is not fair. Then why are they teaching us things that are not true? Mm-hmm. So my mom actually at that point, I guess this is, the answer that she thought was the best answer to give. And in retrospect now, I think it is the best answer. Mm-hmm. She said, I don't have an answer to your question. And I don't know how to answer it in a way that will satisfy you. But use your voice, because it's so strong and so opinionated.
Right.
Use your voice to find your own way to speak up for girls like her. To find your own way to be part of a movement or an organization that helps with finding girls like that in a school, finding them good education and dignity. And then my mom left me with that, and I think when Slumdog happened, and I finally realized I had a platform. And it was a crazy platform because it happened pretty much overnight,
I want to share something that could literally slow down how you age, inside and out. Let's talk about hyperbaric oxygen therapy, or HBOT. You've probably heard of it being used for athletes or wound healing. But what you may not know is the latest research is showing powerful benefits for cellular regeneration, brain health, and even reversing some biological markers of aging. Hyperbaric chamber works where you breathe in oxygen at higher than normal pressure. This process stimulates your tissues with oxygen and beyond what your body can normally get in. That extra oxygen jumpstarts your cells, helps natural repair processes, reduces inflammation, and boosts collagen production. It even stimulates the growth of new blood vessels. Studies have shown improvements in telomere length, which are kind of like protective caps on your DNA that shorten as you age. Longer telomeres, that's linked to healthier aging. If you're feeling the effects of aging, Maybe it's slower recovery, brain fog, or skin that's lost its luster and glow. Hyperbaric oxygen might be a powerful tool to help you feel sharper, stronger, and more vibrant. Go to oxyhealth.com, that's OXYHEALTH.com, and type in discount code HEALTHYDOC10 for your first order. That movie, Slumdog Millionaire, anyone who hasn't seen it, like, you've been living under a rock. It is literally, I watched it twice. I watched it in a theater and then I watched it again. And it was at that time I was living in the UK.
Yeah.
And I was like, who is this beautiful brown Indian actress? Like, who is this girl? And it was the most incredible, and it was an overnight
It was.
hit.
It was.
How was that? Like, how did you deal with that? That was insane.
It was insane because it took a long time to get cast in that role. First of all, it took about 6 months, and I went through the regular audition process. There were like 3,000 hopefuls around the world, and I had to just like constantly put my best foot forward, which, and I believed that was for me in some way. The belief was very strong. It was not a pompous thing. It was just a deep down in my heart. I believe that
Latika.
That I was Latika. This is going to be me.
I am Latika and I'm getting the role. And you did.
I did. And by the way, the manifestation story goes way before that. I was probably like 12, 13 when I was manifesting something of big worth in my life. And not monetarily, because I was not thinking monetarily at all. I grew up in a middle class family. Monetarily is not what really came first to my mind. And then when I got the role, and then when the film came out, and it's so crazy because the film almost went to DVD. The film was almost never going to get a release because it was during the time where Warner Brothers, that arm of Warner Brothers folded. And they were like, no actors of note. This is not like, it does not have Leonardo DiCaprio in it. So, so we're going to just like send it off to DVD. And then there was a big push from the directors and the producers to find it a home. They found it a home at Fox Searchlight in the US. And then lo and behold, we're like at Toronto Film Festival getting a standing ovation. And then it was nonstop from that. And during those 6 months of promoting the film before the Academy Awards, I realized that there was a strange power that was that came along with it. When I did interviews or when I was on a red carpet, like all of a sudden, the color that I was wearing was trendy, or the hairstyle that I had was being copied, and it was a strange time. And I was really lucky to have like the right group of people around me to make it so that I wouldn't get too heady about it.
Right.
I was really lucky about it. So, I'm really grateful. But then I also realized that, oh my God, this power is coming with a platform. And I never expected it. But now is the time to strike while the iron's hot.
Right.
So that's when I spoke to my team and I said, this has been a great desire of mine. Is there a way that you can help me find like an organization that I can work with that is really focused on young girls' education around the world, especially in those parts of the world where advocacy for them is not as strong? And through that, I started working with Plan International and met wonderful people around the world, met so many different movements and organizations that were happening around the world. And through that, it took me to Girl Rising, which was the best medium for me to be part of, because it is about creating long-lasting change, sustainable change through storytelling, through the medium of storytelling, by changing mindsets. You cannot just talk to someone and expect them to change overnight. The mindset needs to change. And knowing how powerful a movie like Slumdog Millionaire was, I know that the power of storytelling is immense. And so it was like a match made in heaven, and till date, I work with them, and it just gives me so much joy, so much joy.
Such an incredible thing, It's not all actresses do this. I mean, it's like it's so refreshing to hear that. I always knew your activism and your support for girls was such a huge part of who you are. And I didn't know the story from when you were 12 years old.
Yeah,
and that's where it stemmed from. And that, to me, is just like, it was meant to be.
It was meant to be. And it's about planting the little seeds along the way, and remembering where you came from, and remembering, what you've always aspired to do. And I just think I'm very lucky to be where I am.
Do you ever feel there's a pressure of being a brown girl, brown lady, for us brown women all over the world? Do you feel like there's like a pressure to be a certain way or a certain character? Like there's a certain responsibility that comes with that? Because there's not a lot of, like, let's be honest, there's not a lot of Indian. I mean, it's growing, but there's not a lot of Indian or brown women on TV.
On TV. I definitely felt that pressure very early on in my career, where there were even fewer and lesser.
Yeah, at Slumdog, I think there was no one.
Barely any.
Yeah.
Barely any. And the ones who were there, it was so unfair because they were working so hard and yet not being recognized, you know. I was very lucky to have the support of some of those women back in the day as well, who would share their stories of how hard they had worked in this industry, and yet the industry wouldn't recognize them. I knew I was in a particularly very different position because of a film like Slumdog and because of what it afforded me, which, by the way, I will let you know that within 4 years, I was no longer the belle of the ball. And so I felt like the steady decline in what I was able to get right off the bat of Slumdog Millionaire.
Right.
And then 4 years later, I was not that interesting into the industry anymore. So I was again being typecast like everyone else told me they were. And so it took, I would say, 2 years of being almost unemployed, brought upon by myself because I wanted to protest and be adamant that I'm not going to take that bit role anymore. I want something of worth, and if you don't take me seriously, I'm just going to say no. And I kept saying no out of the pressure of wanting to make sure that I was doing right by all the women in this industry. And also all the women who are going to watch, and all the young girls who are going to watch this, and they don't want to just see me do something that doesn't elevate their position. And by the way, I'm not talking about just being the lead role and everything. Even if it's a supporting role of worth, something of note. Somewhere where you take the character out of the script and the whole script collapses. I wanted to be that kind of character. I didn't want to be just someone who you can just, take out and the script still moves on perfectly fine. So those 2 years of forced self-unemployment was really tough. And I was filled with insecurity, anxiety. I was like, what have I done? Out of sight is out of mind. Nobody is calling me up. The phone is not ringing. Have my agents forgotten about me? It was very, very tough.
This industry, the highs and the lows you have to be able to, and this was your first kind of roller coaster ride, right? On the high and the low.
Absolutely.
Because it happens to everyone.
It happens to everyone. When we were promoting Slumdog Millionaire, Dave and I were backstage at the Ellen DeGeneres show, and Dustin Hoffman was there, and we were like, oh my God, it's a ring. And we were just like such geeks. And at that moment, it felt like, was he being mean to us? But actually, in retrospect, when that low happened, I realized what he was talking about. He looked at both of us and he goes, oh, you're the kids from Slumdog Millionaire. Congratulations. But just remember, peaks and valleys. And when he said that to us, at that moment, it was like really deflating. Like, what is he
what
saying?
Are you talking about?
And why is he saying this to us in our, this peak moment of our careers and our lives? Right. And he was so right. There is always a valley, and it's about how you react, respond to that valley, and how you come out of it. And that valley, without that valley, I wouldn't have had Freebird Films.
Right. So tell us about Freebird Films. What is Freebird Films? Like, what are you doing with that company at the moment?
Yes. So it's gone through a lot of growth and seeking and searching on what we want to be. And now we are what we want to be, with a lot of confidence and goodwill of many in the industry. And it's going really well. So my producing partner, Emily, who is in London at the moment, she and I had this vision that we want to tell women's stories. And I told her, this is how I want to do it. I want to tell women's stories from all parts of the world. And I want them to be all kinds of women. I don't want them to be perfect, puritanical women. I want them to be flawed. I want them to be both likable and not likable. I want them to be beautiful and ugly. And I don't mean by appearance, but I mean on the inside, where they can embrace all sides of them. We are not sitting here just, angels and saints, we're everything. And we want to be showcasing that in our characters.
Depends where you are in your cycle, right?
That is true. That is true. And just like how men can play Walter White and we can watch 7 seasons of Breaking Bad and go, okay, that man, or Dexter, okay, that man is killing people. Oh,
Right.
that man is freaking making math, for crying out loud.
Right.
And you can watch it for 7 seasons and still be in love with those characters.
Right.
Where are those female characters? You know, why are we so, and then where are the brown female characters who do that?
Yes.
That's another layer altogether.
There's another
right?
layer already.
So when Emily came from the documentary world, and in that world, you're fearless, right? You're absolutely fearless. So the two of us put our minds together and really started going down the deep, deep hole of finding IP. Stories from different parts of the world, books, novels, all of it, that felt like it could move the needle. And it took we took a lot of hits in the beginning because it's very hard. Any startup, any company that you're starting off and you're starting off without any funding can be a very hard way to kind of start something. But we've now reached a place where we can float very easily through this very tough industry through tough times as well.
True wellness lives in the smallest details, the air you breathe, the water you wash with, and the surfaces you touch. That's why Koala Eco, with their beautiful botanical ranges for home, laundry, body, and even pets, is the only brand I trust. Elegant living without compromise. Visit koalaeco.com, that's KOALAECO.com, and use my code HEALTHYDOG15 for 15% off your first order. You've been super open about your journey with your miscarriage, your pregnancy, postpartum. Walk me through what happened. I know, me being your sister and your friend, you called me, we talked about it, and I know you've been more open about it. And I love that you've been open about it because your story can help so many women. Walk me through that.
I was 37 or 36 actually when I first got pregnant. And I was so excited and I was so healthy and working out and taking my supplements and doing all the things the right
I
way.
remember. Yes.
And in my head, I was like, oh, this, miscarriages, I know they're very common, but it can't happen to me.
Right.
That was my thought. So I go with that flow and I'm on this, I remember I was shooting this Netflix movie at the time in Albuquerque. And the first trimester was so tough. I was like, oh gosh.
I remember you telling me it was
back pain and like feeling
also
nauseous.
no appetite
no
either.
appetite whatsoever.
Yes,
You remember I was like, come
everything.
over, I'll cook food for you, but I can't eat anything.
Yeah, I remember you told me that. I'm like, okay, that's going to be fun.
Yeah. And then I'm off to shooting this movie. And then somewhere around 11 weeks, when I was 11 weeks, I was like, oh, I feel different. Oh, maybe
you felt better.
I felt better. I'm like, oh, maybe I've come out of the feeling of the first trimester,
Right.
ready to go into the second. And somewhere around that time, they do like this chromosomal abnormality testing, like
Yes.
the genetic testing, the panorama test. And something looked really off. And they couldn't like really read. There was something on the read that wasn't good. It was a triploidy.
So you had
pregnancy, 3 chromosomes instead of 2.
Right.
And immediately my MFM in Albuquerque was, can you just come in quickly to just do a quick ultrasound? And when I was in that ultrasound, by the way, this was during like the pandemic, right? So
Right.
the hospital had very strict policies of how many people could come in. Corey is not there. My sweet assistant, Artemis, who was with me, is waiting outside the hospital for me because there's only one person can come in at a time.
Yeah.
And then they couldn't find, I remember when they were doing the ultrasound, they couldn't find the heartbeat. And I think when she said, oh, I'm so sorry, when the nurse practitioner said that, I can't find the heartbeat. In my head, I was like, no, what are you talking about? Look for it.
Right.
Like, what are you?
It's
what do you-
there, yeah.
It's there. Look
Yeah.
for it. I'm healthy. I'm like, no, look
Sure.
for it. And I'm feeling better. Definitely look for it.
Right.
And I think I was in complete disbelief. But what was worse, what came out of my mouth in that moment.
Right.
The first thing I said, and this is the deep, deep, deep programming of the patriarchy. The first thing that came out of my mouth was, what did I do wrong?
Yeah.
Oh, I should have taken my thyroid medication way before the pregnancy, like all kinds of.
Even after
I
she
worked
told you it was a chromosome issue.
Yes. Even though they said that there was something that they couldn't detect and they didn't want to say it to me straight up. And then I also said, oh, is it because I worked out too hard? No, this is me, super educated, like I said, all into my wellness and health. And the first thing that came out of my mouth was self-blame, because that I felt like it was my fault. And I remember Corey, because Corey was on the phone, he kept saying it over. It's not your fault. Stop saying that. No, don't blame yourself. Stop saying that. And then he obviously drove and came to Albuquerque that very day. And I was just destroyed, because I was like, how could this have happened to me? It's such a common experience that so many women go through and so many women talk about. But when you are going through it yourself, yes, those many million stories actually help you kind of feel like you're not alone, but you still feel.
Of course.
How did this happen to me? I was really lucky that I was in a state that I was allowed to get an emergency DNC, because I needed to go and Thank
God you weren't in Texas.
I know, because, and I, by the way, needed to go back and shoot on this project, this film that I'd committed to.
Oh my gosh.
With millions of dollars riding on it, because the lead in the movie wouldn't come to set. And I'm not saying that, we shouldn't be given our time to take some time after a miscarriage. And I was very lucky that I had the producers give me that time. But I also felt a sense of responsibility. These people all of the crew members are waiting for me to come back to work. And they don't know what's going on with me, but I felt this responsibility. So I was very lucky that I was in a place that I could get an emergency DNC procedure so that I could get back to work. And work also, by the way, saved me. It was my way of dealing with the pain, but not by sitting in it so deep every day that I wasn't finding a way to come out of it. Work helped me come out of it. And that's just who I am. I love keeping my mind busy, working with amazing people, being creative. It's wow. And I was allowed to heal in a very beautiful way. So I feel very lucky for the time and being in the right place at the right time.
Thank you for sharing that. That sounds, and I remember that time so clearly, like it was yesterday, because it was COVID, and you were going through this miscarriage, or you had to have that procedure, the DNC, and I just remember thinking how strong you were, and really surprised at how strong you were, because you were 11 weeks. It wasn't like 2 weeks. And you'd gone through all the pain and aggravation of like the nausea and just not feeling like eating. And I'm like, no, it's the first trimester. It's always like that, for a lot of people. And you did everything. I remember your meal combining, your diet, like even the way you were feeding all of us, we were eating. Like, I'm not pregnant, Freida. Can you take it easy on me here? No, you were amazing at taking care of yourself and your supplements. And it is something that women do. They blame themselves. A lot of the reason why women can't get pregnant, they blame themselves for not. And meanwhile, back at the ranch, it's the male fault. I'm like, I'll always go, can you ask your husband to get his sperm tested, please?
Can I share something with you that I learned about? Oh, thanks, babe. My placenta was very enlarged and I lost a lot of blood.
Okay.
And you can find out through the genetic testing where that extra set of chromosomes came from.
Okay. Wait.
Who do you think it came from?
Corey.
Yes! And it's not his fault. I'm not trying to blame him.
It's no one's, a genetic thing is a genetic thing.
And what I also learned as I was educating myself, that women always think that the miscarriage is their fault, but 75 to 80% of the time, it is the sperm and what the sperm delivers to the process of fertilization that can cause the miscarriage in chromosomal abnormalities as far as those are concerned.
Yeah, it's 65 to 70%.
And I'm just like, 65 to 70%. And I'm just like, it's so crazy. It's so crazy that we have so little knowledge of this. And we don't need to have this knowledge of this to blame men.
No.
But just so that we stop blaming ourselves.
I think so. And that it's in no one's control. And if it's a genetic abnormality, there's nothing you can do, and it would have eventually not survived anyway.
Yes.
So it's better.
Exactly.
It's better it happened then than further along in the pregnancy, where it would have been a lot more dangerous for you because it could threaten your life. So,
absolutely.
So I always feel the universe did it at the exact timing, and you get it together. When things are breaking down, women are incredible. We get it together somehow, especially when it comes to motherhood.
Absolutely. And two things that came to mind is exactly what you said, where I remember my MFM telling me that this pregnancy wouldn't have stuck anyway, and it's crazy that it stuck for 11 weeks.
Right.
That is probably a testament to your good health.
There's all the supplements you're taking, of course. I'm going to say
usually
that.
it's usually at 6 weeks they find out that a triploidy pregnancy would never.
That's what I was surprised
stick.
at when you told me this. Yeah,
the fact that you went on like at 9 weeks when I did like they found the heartbeat and all that. It's like it's a miracle that it even went on till 11 weeks. And then the other thing he said to me was, your body knows exactly what it's doing. When your body says not this, let this one go, it is doing it for a reason. But your body has also left a blueprint for the next, saying this is safe now. Don't worry about it. And he just had such a beautiful way of explaining the whole blueprint of it all that it made me feel, yes, okay. The body, now my uterus knows what it's growing the next time. And the second thing that I wanted to share was that it's not just me alone that felt the empowerment.
No. Yes.
It's the generations of women before me, my grandmother, my great-grandmother, my great-great-great-grandmother. I feel their energy just passes onto you in a way that you don't even expect. And when you become a mother, you're like, where did this instinct come from? Where did this come from? I didn't learn this. I didn't read about it. So yeah, you're right. It's the mothers of the world.
The mothers of the world. Fast forward, you now have probably the most beautiful child I've ever seen in my entire life. And I'm not being biased.
Dante is not very happy about it.
Yes, human, okay, baby, human. And this boy is so hilarious. He's so gorgeous. He's so funny. He's actually really, he's quick on
he's
his
witty.
little.
He's really witty.
Yeah, he's very witty. And he's just a gorgeous child. I feel like also the way you raised him and his mannerisms and his, he's such a Freida child.
He is.
And Corey,
and a
sorry.
Corey child.
Sorry, Corey. He looks a lot like the both of you. I think the mixture is, he's literally 50-50.
Yeah.
And tell me about Rumi. Like, is he, because I haven't seen him for a long time. I see him going for hikes with Papa, rock climbing. Does he love all the same things Corey loves? Or has Corey had to show him the ropes to like it? Or was he intuitively into it? Because I know Corey's big outdoor.
Most children and most babies are off the natural world. They know nature before they know the man-made. And that comes to them in the most instinctual way. Like you put them out with rocks and mud and leaves and they'll play with it. Like it's just natural to them. It's the need for the big playpens and the toys and the plastic and all of it that actually dulls their own instincts in a way. How they can actually grow in nature and learn from nature gets dulled when we're constantly keeping them inside. Now, I'm really grateful that the man that I married is a complete outdoorsman. And he spends more time outdoors than
I think he'd live outside if he
does.
could.
He does. I mean, he kind of does anyway. He probably comes to, have his lunch, his dinner, say hi, hello, spend some time with me, which he wants to spend it outside, and then comes to sleep at night. That's it. But most of the time, he spends outside, and Rumi loves it. He loves outside time. And I think that I am so grateful, so grateful to have married someone who knows what is best for a child just by being one himself. Corey is very much a child at heart. He just wants to be adventurous and explorative and curious and all of the fun stuff, which children love. And so it's amazing to watch that. And because of that, it forces me to get out, to get involved, to get outside as well.
Which I love, by the way, because I know you never saw yourself as doing all these outdoorsy things, but you've become like this outdoorsy nature girl now.
Not as much as them, but definitely.
No, you're way more than when I first met you.
Way more. Absolutely. Like I'm more up for an adventure going camping now than I ever
heard
was.
about your camping stories.
I've had some fun camping stories. And I think that's it's wonderful for kids to be, and adults, to be spending more time in nature and being outside. So yes, Rumi absolutely loves those adventures. And I will say, at the same time, I have noticed that he also has the introverted quality that I have, which I was surprised to see it, but he loves being inside and doing activities with the people that he loves, you know, or playing by himself, but knowing that we're somewhere around him. So it's a good mix and match of Corey's personality and mine, which is very manageable.
Yeah, I think it's amazing, and I think it's so good for Rumi to be outdoors like that.
Yes.
You know, like how is he going to grow up in a totally different way that other kids are like glued to the television, you know, and it's not good for the brain, you know? And so I think it's good for Corey and Rumi.
And Rumi,
so they're both.
And great for me because they go on the camping trips. And guess what? Mama has time to herself.
Mama has me time to go with her sister for manis, petties.
Travel.
Because I know we're going to do some travel together,
Yes,
hopefully.
absolutely. Before we continue, I just want to ask you, is this tequila?
No, it's not tequila because I know you don't drink. So we're doing vitamin C cocktails.
Okay.
Cheers, darling.
Cheers.
Well, to health, right? Because
To
it's
health.
liposomal, so we'll get it right in. I wanted to ask you, because I couldn't imagine, like, I'm not going to be a mom in that way. Like, I'm a mom to him. But he's like staring at her because she's so beautiful. I know, Dante, she's beautiful.
He's falling asleep,
He's
actually.
falling. How do you juggle this? I mean, you're a mom, a wife. You have this production company. You have The Girl Rising. You have Rumi. Like, do you sleep?
I absolutely sleep. And how do I juggle it? I don't. It's not always a winning day for me.
Right.
Some days I win as a mom. Some days I win as a producer. Some days I win as a wife. Some days I'm winning as a friend, as a daughter. I don't win on all counts all day, every day. You know, it's hard and it's impossible. And I gave up on the idea of trying to, you know, tick all the boxes at the end of the day because I just realized that that was crazy making, that was destroying my sleep. It was making me anxious. And one of the reasons why I also moved to Austin was to not feel the pressure that I felt in LA to live up to all of those various roles and that, you know, the roles that I play in my life. And I'm totally fine with that now. And I'm totally at peace. And I work with people who respect that part of me and who also, by the way, have that similar aspect going on in their lives. Hence my producing partner, Emily, who is also a mom who has made a big move recently, moving countries. And in this moment, as a mother, I understand how important it is to give another mother time and space for adjustment. And so she gives me grace. I give her grace. The people I work with understand that we give grace to each other, especially as working moms. So the answer is I don't try to juggle it and to win. I do the best I can every day and try to responsibly come to the tasks in front of me to the best of my ability.
I think that's the best answer I've heard to date because I do hear mothers feel very stuck and you know, they feel bad for not giving their child the best dinner they could give the child that day, or they lost a job and, you know, it's this self-blame. And I feel like things come in ebbs and flows. And I feel like family is first, you know, you're a mother first. But I feel like you're not like a lot of moms that I hear about. Like you don't make it your everything.
I don't.
And even though it is, you don't talk about it to a point where it stops other things energetically from coming in. It's almost like I love that about you because although I know you're a perfectionist to a certain degree, you've lost that. Yeah. That. I don't want to say rigidity, but it feels like you're more.
I was rigid.
Since you had it. Okay, you were a bit rigid.
I was very rigid.
So all of us have been at some point in our lives, but I feel like since you've had Rumi, like he's been your biggest teacher. I feel like you're so much more free flowing since you've had him.
I definitely feel that, and I think he has made me a wiser person. I used to wonder this is way, way, way back, when I was like, oh, I have to give him everything. I have to make his food from scratch, and it has to be perfect.
I remember.
And then I met another mom who had an equally amazing kid, and she wasn't making food from scratch. And I was like, okay, that kid is turning out fine. So, okay, let me let go of that a little bit. I have learned a lot from other women and other mothers as well. And then, of course, I've learned a lot from Rumi. There was a time when I was coming into this world of trying to find a better balance between all the things, I was like, am I a bad mom for not feeling guilty about, spending X amount of time with Rumi today? I don't feel guilty about it. And I was like, oh my God, no, I'm not a bad mom. I am actually evolving to be a better mom, because now by example, I can show him that mom has other priorities too. And you'll always be an important person in life, but she has other responsibilities. And she has to show up for the other people and the other, tasks in her life as well. And that sense of like, oh, I'm evolving. I am not a bad mom. I'm evolving really gave me complete freedom from that guilt that moms feel. I really don't feel, I feel guilt sometimes, but it's normal.
Well, it's normal, yes.
But it's not what I spend a lot of my time thinking about.
I think that's huge for other women listening, because they'll get a lot out of that.
From PMS to perimenopause to menopause to postmenopause, I've lived through it all. And through every stage, one thing becomes clear. Hormone fluctuations change how our bodies regulate temperature, especially at night. When your body overheats, even slightly, it disrupts deep, restorative sleep. The kind of sleep your hormones, metabolism, and mood depend on. That's why I can't live without my Rani Lounge pajamas. Their advanced technology activates natural fibers, making the fabric moisture resistant, naturally fresh, and ultra breathable, allowing your body to stay cool and regulate temperature the way nature intended. Better temperature control means deeper sleep, better recovery, and a body that feels truly at ease. Whether at home or traveling, staying cool, fresh, and comfortable has never felt so effortless. Go to RaniLounge.com, that's RaniLounge.com, and use my code HealthyDog15 and get 15% off your first order and experience sleep the way it was meant to be.
I wanted to move into beauty, because you are seriously one of the most beautiful human beings I've ever seen in my life. Like, seriously,
Says the woman who is the most beautiful woman, period.
Thank you, Freida. I'm learning to receive. Okay, but you are known as, anyone that sees you, and I'm like, oh gosh, not only is she beautiful, but her heart and her friendship, and because not everybody knows you intimately as I do. I'm lucky to be your friend and your sister, but you are literally one of the most beautiful women alive, and people here probably want to know, what the hell is this girl doing to be so beautiful? So can you walk us through your inside beauty routine? Like, what are you doing? What are you eating? What supplements are you taking? Tell us everything. Spill it.
Oh, God. I know it sounds like such a cliche, but I think sleep has been...
That's not a cliche. That's like it's a must.
I think sleep has been my best medicine. And it escaped me in the first 2 years of having Rumi, because I was sleep deprived. And like I said, I was putting all this pressure on myself to do everything from scratch and to do everything perfectly, blah, blah, blah. And the moment I discovered, when he was about 2.5, that when he goes to sleep and I go to sleep at the same time, I actually get 8 or 9 hours of sleep. It transformed everything. I literally started seeing my aging go backwards, because I felt like I aged tremendously in the first 2 years. And then with that, I saw myself go backwards almost. I was like, okay, it's reversing. And it's not a myth.
It's not.
But sleep is so important. When I sleep well, I am a better mom, I am a better wife, I'm a better producer, I'm a better actor. I'm just like, I'm good to myself and I'm good to others. And I make better choices during the day.
So how do you keep that sleep optimal? Like, I know, because you spent the night last night. I saw your routine in front of my eyes. I heard also the noise coming out of your room.
The sound machine?
Yes. Tell us
I'm
about
addicted
that.
to the sound machine. When the sound machine comes on, it's like a reminder to all of us at home, it's time to go to bed.
Right.
And it just plays at whatever, starts at about
Yes.
8:30 at night. I think my answer to your question would be having a routine, a ritual, and discipline towards your ritual. And which means, yeah, once in a while, you probably want to go out with your friends. I'm not I don't go out much at night. I'm not a night person. I'm an early morning person. And so once in a while you want to go out, you want to have a good time with your friends, but it's not an everyday thing. So an everyday thing is learning to wind down when it's time to wind down, staying away from the phones an hour before going to bed because they're very stimulating. Finding an activity. My child is my best way of kind of following being disciplined because he winds down by 9 p.m. So the wind down actually starts at 8. So when he starts winding down, I start winding down. Read the books to him, and when he falls asleep, I fall asleep. It's just as simple as that. I mean, without Rumi, I don't think I would have had discipline. But because he needs it as a child,
Right.
that is X
it
number
makes
of
you.
hours, it makes me.
Yes.
And then the discipline and the routine continues in the morning because I'm an early riser. So when I wake up in the morning, I start by my phone always being in airplane mode,
What time do you wake up?
5 a.m.
Holy cow.
But I go to
Okay.
bed at 9.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, I'm getting like 8 hours of sleep.
Yeah, that's perfect.
I'm like literally going to bed actually, to be honest, at 8:30 because when I put him to bed, then the wind down, blah, blah,
and
blah.
what time
then
does he wake up then?
He wakes up at 7, between 6:30
so you
and
have
7.
2 hours to yourself in the
I
morning.
have 2 hours, 2 precious hours to myself. And some days I don't. Like some days he wakes up at 6. I'm like, buddy, can you just like go back to sleep?
Yes.
please?" But when I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, I have noticed that having my phone on airplane mode at night when I go to bed, so that when I wake up in the morning, I am not disturbed by notifications, text messages. The whole world can wait till I wake up. I don't have to be taking on everything as soon as I wake up. That gives me my time to do my morning meditation. I do Joe Dispenza's meditations every morning. If your audience haven't looked him up, I think he's amazing. And then I do some fascia rolling out with a tennis ball and a block. This is work by Brooke Poyle, who has musical breathwork. This account on Instagram, she's amazing. And I do some light yoga. I don't do anything intensive. And then I eat within an hour of waking up. Like that's the other thing I had to train myself to do, because as a menstruating woman, I was making the big mistake of staying very hungry till 10 a.m., like fasting till 10 a.m.
No.
And I know there's different theories out there on intermittent fasting.
Right.
But as a menstruating woman who has tried intermittent fasting, it is not for me.
It's not. And that's, thank you for saying that, because it's not good for, you really need to determine if it's good for you or not.
It's not for me.
Especially if you're burnt out and you're menstruating, those are two bad things.
Absolutely not. Like, especially now going into my 40s, it is 100% not for me. I want to get that cortisol in check. I want to get my blood sugar regulated within the first hour of waking up to set my day up for success. And so it took a bit of practice and discipline, but I got myself to waking up in the morning and I boil eggs ahead of time and having my 2 to 3 boiled eggs in the morning. I know it's a lot, feels like a lot, but when you get used to it, it's amazing to wake up hungry,
Yes,
actually going,
it is.
Within an hour, I'm going to eat. And I noticed that ends up into a very healthy cycle of not snacking during the day, of eating good meals that are enriched with protein and fiber, and, good vegetables, leafy greens, et cetera, et cetera. By the way, that's how Rumi eats as well, because I don't make separate food for him. He eats what we eat, and he sees me eat that way, and he eats it too. What a simple life.
Very.
Like, I don't have to make separate food for this kid, And I'm very proud. I will say this because I don't say this enough to myself, but I'm very proud that I have been able to reconfigure my own life as a mother to set myself up for success in my perimenopausal years.
Yeah. That's what it is. You
Yeah.
are in your perimenopausal years.
Yeah.
And I think it's brilliant that Rumi is looking to your leadership and is eating what you're eating. Because not very
Absolutely.
many kids will eat broccoli and vegetables.
Oh,
I saw
yeah.
it on FaceTime right now. I was like, wow.
Yes.
I've never seen that before.
He eats all his vegetables. I'm very proud of him.
What supplements do you take? What are your favorite
Yes.
go-tos?
Okay. One of my absolute favorite, has been the cortisol balancer that you gave me, because I also realized the rhythm of it. Different people can take it at, whatever they want to take it at night. For me, it works when I take it in the afternoon because I noticed like a spike in cortisol levels when I did my Dutch test. And so I was like, oh, I'm going to take this in the afternoon to see what it does to me. It actually helps me sleep better at night. So I take it in the afternoon. That's one of my absolute favorites. I love butyric CalMag. I think it's amazing for the gut, but that's something that I particularly, I've had all sorts of gut issues, autoimmune things, because I have Hashimoto's, so it affects your gut, et cetera, et cetera. So that's been amazing for me as well. And, and one that you actually introduced me to was CoQ200. That has been a game changer as well.
Coenzyme Q10.
Coenzyme
Q10.
How do you say that?
CoQ10. Coenzyme Q10.
Coenzyme Q10, yeah. But this is a 200 milligram.
Yeah, you're taking 200 milligrams.
200 milligrams, yeah.
Really good for gum health, for heart disease, for inflammation.
Fertility.
Fertility.
Yeah, and like also fertility, like people need to understand, like the fertility is not just you're going to try to have a baby.
Right.
It's just your reproductive years,
Yes.
all of it, like your cycle. And yeah, so that's been like really amazing that you introduced me to. Actually, in fact, a lot of, you've educated me on how to take vitamin D, zinc. And that's been really a game changer, because wherever you are in the world, you have that, you're armed with that knowledge. And even if you don't have your favorite supplement with you, you know how to go and look for purity in a supplement and then take it the right way. I think that has been a very important, especially for someone who travels as extensively as I do. That's been really amazing.
And your skin, how are you keeping your skin so gorgeous? I mean, it's literally flawless. I saw you with your skincare. We talked about taping a bit.
Yes. I, as you can see, and I am, quite transparent about it. If I ever did any procedures that are invasive, I would share, but I have had none.
No, you haven't.
I have had none. And I am also very scared of needles. And so not needles, like I'm not scared of like IVs and acupuncture or anything like that, but like just putting something in my face, I know there are amazing treatments out there with needles, but it just like a tiny bit scares me. So I do some face taping, but I also use your serum, which is a game changer. And I see the difference when I've run out of your serum and I'm being lazy and not ordering my next bottle, and I wait like 2 weeks and I've not taken it. I also see the difference in using other products at that point in time. So I'm completely in love with, your serum. And I love a good, I use a prescription azelaic acid.
Yes.
Which is, for me, better than using retinols. I use a retinol once a week, but I don't use it often because my skin is very sensitive, and I find azelaic acid works better for me.
It's great. I remember us talking about azelaic acid, and it's fantastic.
How do you pronounce it?
Azelaic acid.
Azelaic acid.
No, it's a tongue
I just
twist.
make up my own pronunciations.
Yeah,
I'm like, this
enough.
is how it's said. I'm like,
We just know it works.
Yeah, it works.
And it really works well for you.
Yeah.
Those are really, thank you so much for sharing that. And I love it that, I know you've been using my products for a long time, so it means a lot to me.
The face mask, oh my God.
Oh yes, the face mask.
I like take every little last bit of it in the packet, and I use it on my neck and my hands. And
it's the best to use on a plane, because wherever you
best.
arrive, you're like, look pristine.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for putting all the effort into making these amazing products.
Oh, thank you for using it.
Yeah. And the time lift.
I know. Freida,
I wish we were in the same city so I could do it more regularly, because I look at your skin and I go, how do you have the skin of a 20-year-old? I just don't understand. How do I get there? And then you tell me how you get there. I'm like, okay, I'm not in the same city, so I can't come regularly to you.
It's consistency. And, I also think it's like an inside thing. I can always see my skin. I can see the sagging and all that kind of stuff happen when I'm not consistent with my supplements and my exercise and stress levels and sleep. As you said, sleep is non-negotiable for me. I think you and I are the same way with sleep. We have to have it.
But also, since you mentioned sagging, can I just say this? Like, I want us to be able to embrace how we're supposed to age. We don't want to age rapidly, but we want to age gracefully, right? And so what's wrong now as a 40-year-old woman if I have like a line that is getting deeper. I get it. I'm like, some people don't want it, but for me, it's like a story. It's the story of my life. You know, I've worked so hard. I've had ups and downs.
You've earned it.
I've earned it now. You know,
Yes.
I do some face taping, but the reason why I won't aggressively and permanently eradicate those lines is because it reminds me that I'm alive and I've lived this life.
That's so wise. Thank you for mentioning that. I've built my entire clinical philosophy and even wrote a book called Younger Skin Starts in the Gut around one simple truth. If your gut isn't optimal, nothing else works. Genova Diagnostics GI Effects Test is the gold standard in functional stool testing, mapping your microbiome, digestion, inflammation, and nutrient absorption with clinical precision. It's a crappy job, but someone has to do it. And no one does it better than Genova. Visit genovaconnect.com and use my code HEALTHYDOC15 for 15% off your first stool test. I want to end with a question you and I were talking about last night. We were talking about what does being rich mean? Mm-hmm. And I remember telling you last night that for me, being rich is being able to feel at peace, being able to have the flexibility to sleep in, to do what I want, not to have to keep up with the Joneses, not to care about what other people think. And I was like, I feel very rich in that way because, like, you know, somebody could be a billionaire and, you know, I'll still feel richer than they do because I don't have all these obligations that they do or their public, you know, what they need to be or who they need to keep up with.
Absolutely.
And
And,
so
how the whole world is judging them and talking about them. I'm sure it doesn't matter, but sometimes I get anxiety when people, you know, are constantly writing ill about people. I'm like, oh, and by the way, not that I know these people personally, but I just feel like, oh my God, to wake up in the morning and read that every day about yourself. Gosh, it feels burdensome sometimes.
It is,
you know? We talked about this, and you also mentioned community. Like having the right group of people around you, that's just so much richness in that, right? Like you just feel fulfilled all the time. For me, it has a lot to do with health. As I watch my parents age and, you know, they didn't have the same access to a lot of things that I had in their 30s and 40s. And I see like a lot of people suffering, you know, with illness or mental illness and all kinds of things that deteriorate the quality of your life. And for me, being rich is being able to be healthy, to watch my kids' soccer games, to be able to do the things that I really want to do even when I'm 60, to know that I'm setting myself up for success for that. There's a certain privilege that comes with that knowledge and that awareness that you're going to work towards that and that you have the ability within yourself to reach out to make these right moves in your life at this point. And I think that makes me feel quite rich. And it's very simple. It's like making, you know, the right choices. Like I want to sleep. The fact that I can sleep at night and I'm not worried about what people are thinking about me or saying about me, I'm rich if I can do that.
100%.
Yeah, if I can have a married life that feels like, you know, by the way, no marriage is perfect, but we can have our ups and downs, but I can talk to this person and reason things out and we can come out of it feeling even stronger together. I'm rich.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
And I don't know how else to explain it because I came from a very middle class family and for me, the togetherness we had as a family felt very special and still today, till date, feels so special. You know, we are such a tight-knit family and the fact that we have each other and my sister and I are so very close. I feel so lucky to have that. And that makes me feel rich.
I love that. That is perfect. I'm going to end by asking you a question that I ask all my guests.
Okay.
Love languages. I don't know your love language, and I'm so curious to know which are. I want you to pick two of these. Okay. I'm going to list them: words of affirmation, acts of service, receiving gifts, quality time, and physical touch.
does it have to be just one? Can it?
Two. Two.
Oh, two.
Yes.
Okay. I have. It's such a combination of things, right? I am definitely words of affirmation person.
Okay.
And I love writing words of affirmation, and not just saying it to people, but also like writing. And when I write, I'm elaborate. I'm poetic, because that just comes very naturally to me. So words of affirmation for sure. And the second one would be quality time.
I love that one.
Yeah, would be quality time. I mean, with physical touch, it is, who am I having physical touch with? Like, Corey and I are always holding hands, and he's driving. He's actually a very physical touch person, and then that makes me do that as well. But I think the quality time, like how it is spent, is very important to me, and the environment that is spent in, and what is being discussed, and how, actually, let me add this, how I feel after quality time has been spent. Do I feel like, oh God, I shared too much, or anxious, or do I feel, oh my God, I can't wait to have this again? And the latter is what makes me very fulfilled and makes me want to share that with other people as well.
That is so beautiful. Thank you, Freida. I want to also give you a gift.
Oh.
I was hoping one of your love languages is gift.
No, but you are definitely a giver.
Yes.
In that sense.
Yes.
You're massive. You're so generous. Not just gifts, but anything. Just a listening ear when I am feeling like, just off kilter. I'm like, I just need to talk to someone. You're so generous with your time. Yeah.
It's, you know what? It's so lovely to hear that from you. And that's one of my love language is our words of affirmation. So thank you for that. But I'm going to give you something that's possibly not in your, love language, but it's going to be a gift that, possibly no one's ever given you before.
Oh my God,
and
I'm
because,
scared.
you know what I'm known for now, right?
Don't worry. I know what you're known for, and you and I speak that language a lot. Does it have something to do with poop?
Yes, it does.
Yes. There
So
you go.
I'm giving you as a gift.
Your poop. No, I'm kidding.
Well, not my poop. You're going to give me your poop, literally. It's a 3-day stool test. Have you ever done one of these?
I'm not in a 3 days
Oh
to
my God.
test.
So this is a Genova Diagnostics. It's an amazing lab. And you do 3 days. You have day 1 collection, day 2, day 3. I'm going to make poop sexy again. Well, it never was sexy, but we're going to make it sexy with
Yes.
Freida Pinto. And everybody else that's been on the show is having to do this. And
I love it.
get the results in 3 weeks, and then I go over them with you, and we can optimize your gut microbiome, especially in your perimenopause years, in your
Yes.
40s. Super important to get that gut microbiome in check. So this is my gift to you, my sis.
Thank you so much. Like anything to do with poop is my favorite gift. So
Great.
thank
Well,
you.
I'm going to find out who's living in there and how we can deal with those creatures. And also,
But are all the creatures bad, or some creatures are good?
there's the good, the bad, and the ugly. So we need some.
We want the ugly out.
No, we want the ugly out.
Yes, okay.
And sometimes if we make the good stronger, they can push the ugly out.
Okay.
Which is what we always want to do. We always
Okay.
want to make our body work for us instead of us pushing our body to do something.
And how do you do it? With like food, probiotics?
Food, botanicals, which
Okay.
you already know so much about, but I feel like this is going to really custom tailor
Love
what
that.
we're doing with you.
Love
Instead
it.
of us sort of going, oh, let's try this, let's try that. It's going to be specific to your gut
I love that.
microbiome.
Yeah.
It's going to find out who's living there, the good, bad, and ugly.
Yeah.
And it's going to look at your intestinal mucosa. Do you have leaky gut? All of those fun things. So
Amazing.
I'm excited to find that out because I'm
Yeah.
curious as to where you are on your gut journey.
Yes.
And I'm also excited that we're wearing our Rani Lounge pajamas.
Yes.
These are special pajamas that we're wearing that are like really incredible. They're great for if you sweat at night or if you have hormonal fluctuations and temperature changes.
Oh, nice.
They actually help control your temperature and there's no toxins in them. I found out recently that clothing has toxins in them.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
I never thought it. We think about food and this has been tested for toxin-free pajamas because
Yeah.
we spend most of our time in our pajamas. So
Yeah.
I'm excited that we're wearing our Ronnie Lounge.
I love it. I
And
mean, the
it's-
forever chemicals in kids' clothing as well. Kids' clothing and
That's
shoes.
a big one is kids clothing, which
Yeah.
is so dangerous.
horrendous,
It's
yeah.
so horrendous. And it's weird that we're wearing our pajamas because that's how we met.
Yes.
Was in our pajamas, right?
Yes.
So a company sent us pajamas.
Yes.
And I had met you for the first time at the Soho farmhouse.
And you had carried the one that they gave you for me.
yes.
And you brought them to me.
And I'm like, hey, do you want to try on these pajamas? You're like, yeah, let's wear them together.
Yeah.
And it was like we instantly bonded and we have
so
some pictures
true.
together in our pajamas. And here we are again in our pajamas. I think it's the best way to be.
It's the best.
We're just going to
It's the
lounge
best.
around now and drink our vitamin C cocktails.
Absolutely.
Cheers. Thank you,
Cheers.
Frida, for being on the Healthy Dog podcast. It really means a lot that you came all the way to LA. And I
Thank
love
you, my
you so
sister.
much.
I love you too. Cheers.